Sadhguru, a revered mystic, is also making headlines for his creative environmental interventions. The latest initiative by his Isha Foundation is Save Soil campaign, which is a conscious response to impending soil extinction. We are joined by none other than Sadhguru to elaborate on his journey to save our soil treasure. Namaskaram.
Namaskaram.
Welcome to Asianet News. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Your long journey, vibrant soil campaign culminated successfully. Congratulations. How was your journey?
Well, the journey has been a spectacular success because people have responded in a truly spectacular way across the world. That 74 nations have made declarations that they will adopt safe soil policy. When I say safe soil policy, we've evolved, this is for India, it's over a 500-page soil policy making handbook. This is not the policy, this is the technical handbook. We made similar documents for 193 nations. Depending upon their latitudinal position, the soil types that are present, and the economic conditions of the given nation and also the agricultural traditions. Because even if you have all the science, you cannot change agricultural traditions overnight. So taking these four aspects, we prepared 193 unique documents like this, which have been distributed to all nations. Out of these, 74 nations have immediately made declarations that they will adopt this policy. Others are examining this because I presented this through COP15, the UNCCD organization, who is our partner, and made soil the main theme of that desertification event. So this… how has the journey been? Well, I started in London in the month of March, so you know the weather, it was cold, and then of course Europe, Northern Europe, cold weather. Fortunately, it wasn't snowing very heavily here and there, but not much, because icy roads and motorcycles are not friends. Then we went to Central Asia, where tremendous response. Not a single nation did we have any problem, will people come or not kind of thing. Wherever we go, people's response, both in rural areas and urban areas, has been phenomenal. Everywhere, whatever kind of… the largest premises available in the cities we booked, but still everything was booked up many times over. Plus good response from the governments. Initially, we were kind of fixing up meetings with many heads of state. That did not happen as we wanted in Europe because of the war and the refugee influx that happened because of that. But actually that turned out very positive for us because then we got to meet all the agriculture ministers and environment ministers, which is where the work happens. If you meet the head of state, largely it would be a photo op, but meeting with the agriculture ministers led to substantive discussions and partnerships that we have formed with them. So actually what we thought initially was a setback worked out very well for us. Because of the war, heads of state didn't come through, but agriculture and environment ministers came, which in terms of work, it worked out better. Then we were in Arabia. Well, what means
Different terrain, entirely different terrain.
So, sometimes the road temperatures were around 54 degrees. Whole day I was riding, sometimes during the nights we were riding. So, it's been a hard ride, but with lots of risks, but people's response and the response from the administrations in Arabia especially has overwhelming response. Almost all of them have signed agreements with us and they're taking this ahead. Already they're following up and taking it ahead, which is incredible. UAE is very pioneering.
Yeah, Indian diaspora is very much in the Middle East.
Indian diaspora is there, but the important thing is the administrations, the governments. The governments, the royal families, all of them taking to it in a big way, which is very positive, and everybody kind of… the problem was, till about 3-4 months ago, nobody had heard about the word soil being a problem. When I presented it to them, it was so shocking that, we sent these videos and information to them before we even started the rally. And pre-rally, I had made some of the countries I had toured and met the leadership there. So the response was enormous everywhere. And then we were in Africa for the COP15, which worked out very well. India, of course, every state that we have passed through have signed MOUs, and publicly chief ministers are taking a vow that we will make this happen. So response has been very good. Above all, people's response. Our social media metric says we have touched 3.91 billion people, and more than anything, changing the narrative. Climate means everybody is trying to catch carbon dioxide molecules in the air. See, the most important thing is soil. And the most important phenomena that's happening here is photosynthesis. It is because of this photosynthesis we have 21% oxygen level. It is because of that you and me as a life exist. Even in the evolutionary scheme of things, this only happened because of the photosynthesis, which is essentially soil-inspired process. But somehow the whole narrative in the world has shifted only towards certain industry and whatever. Yes, that is also a significant issue, I'm not saying it's not an issue. But without addressing soil, you're not going to address climate change or global warming. If people don't understand what I'm saying, today is, pre-monsoon, it's a cool day, but even now you can check if you want, you just touch this soil and see where there is no vegetation, how it is. Touch where there is some grass, how it is, the temperature. And go into a crop like this and touch how it is. Go under the trees and touch how it is. There could be a range of 8 to 12 degrees centigrade difference from just plain land to grassy lands to tree-based lands. This will be the difference. This is climate change. And 54% of the world's soil is seriously plowed. Another 18–20% is semi-plowed, off and on, seasonal kind of thing. So together nearly 71% of the land is farmed or plowed. 4.2% is paved because of infrastructure and urban centers. So together 76% of the land is either paved or plowed. That's where the problem is. If you don't address that, it's not going to work. And above all, agricultural land is that land or that piece of geography where human hand is tending to it on a daily basis. If you can't turn this around, what will you turn around? Empty talk. Everybody wants to fix the rainforest. I'm not saying that should not be protected, but if we don't go there, it'll be fine. You don't have to do anything about the rainforest. If you don't step into it, rainforest has managed itself for millions of years, it'll continue to manage itself. The important thing is, whatever human beings need, for some of the things like timber, honey, resins and other things, we are going into the forest. Forest produce. The term forest produce must go out of our language. Whatever we need, we must grow on our agricultural lands. Leave the forest alone because there is no more forest left to exploit. Forest is not rich enough for you to industrialize it and exploit it in terms of timber or whatever else. So, this is very important to understand what we need. Whatever we need must be grown by us because we've already exploited over 75% of the earth's land. So we must grow what we need, we have no business to go to the forest to take it.
There are many environmental initiatives from government, NGOs, organizations that save climate, save river and surface water and the groundwater, save mangroves. But the Save Soil campaign is something very much unique. You have travelled 71 countries, your message travelled length and breadth of the world. How optimistic you are after the first phase of this campaign?
See, about whether it'll happen or not, I have no doubt anymore. It will definitely happen. Now the question is only speed, the pace of doing things. Big nations have their own means, they will do their own thing. But when I say small nations, about 131 or 132 nations fall under the category of small nations. So these nations, we want to see it happens. Large nations have their own stuff.
For your followers, your motorcycle diary is always arousing admiration. This time also you selected a motorbike.
Only in Kaveri calling I rode a motorcycle.
A motorcycle, okay.
Because in the last 32 years I had never ridden a motorcycle, I never sat on one, nor did I even think of one. Only during the Rally for Rivers campaign when I was driving a car, Sadhguru, somebody brought a… because people around Mysore, Bangalore, they know about my motorcycling in the past.
Java.
Yes, they brought a motorcycle and said, Sadhguru, why don't you ride? I didn't know after 32 years, can I really ride this motorcycle? Then I sat on it and I realized I haven't lost a day. So since then I started traveling, and anyway this coronavirus came, everybody said social distance. I thought the best way is to ride a motorcycle and ride fast enough so that there's enough social distance from everybody. So I started riding, when I was thinking of, how to design the campaign for soil, because it's such a nascent subject. Everybody told me, some of the journalists in UK and otherwise, they told me, Sadhguru, this is not going to fly. Who is going to be excited about soil? It's not going to work. Why are you doing this? I said, the question is not whether somebody is going to be excited or not. The question is, where is the problem? Do we want to address the problem, or do we want to pick up something that we think will work? I said, we're going to address the problem, let's see how the world responds. And I was very confident if it is conveyed properly, people will respond. It is just that either the scientists are talking, though they have facts and stuff, they're talking in a language that nobody understands. Activists are always talking about bashing up somebody. People are not talking about, igniting the humanity in each one of us to see that something happens. So this movement has been to get people to find expression to their love and responsibility for the life that we are, and the life that's around us, and the life that should be beyond us. This is the important thing. So I see that that is the way human beings like to be. When anger and resentment is propagated, maybe some people get excited, but never it is the whole society. The whole society wants to approach life in a responsible way, in a loving way, in an inclusive way. This is the world. It doesn't matter what nation, what religion, what race you belong to, essentially this is the world. But always fringe elements who activate resentment, anger, they get all the media, they get all the, visibility in the world. So everybody starts believing that that's the way. That is not the way of the world. This is the way of the world. See how wonderfully people have responded.
You have met world leaders, agronomists, think tanks. After the first phase of this campaign, what are the major breakthroughs?
See, the most important thing is, what I'm pushing for is to separate soil from other environmental concerns. Why this is important is, if you talk about, for example, fossil fuels, you talk about coal, coal industry will be against you. You talk about oil, oil industry will be against you. You talk about automobiles, automobiles will be against you. Like this you can go on, so many. These industries were not built overnight, and they are not crime, they are business. You cannot just go and say, beat it down, all right? See, you and me can say today, let us stop all coal, let us stop all oil. Well, but we want lights in our home, we want all the facilities, everything is needed, but we want everything to shut down. First, if you are willing to shut down all those things, first thing you should shut down is, you must run your home without power. You must run your industry without power. Get back to the manual activity. Are you ready? You're not, you need energy. So if you need energy, you have to burn something. Well, do they need to be transformed? Yes, definitely. Transformation is different, being against them is very different. All industry needs to transform to a more eco-sustainable way, there is no question about it. But will you allow them the necessary time and incentives to transform, or will you just walk on the street, shout slogans against them and throw stones at them? Is this the way forward? That is not the way forward. So it will never work, all it'll end up is in conferences and conventions. Now what I see is a whole lot of people like these conferences and conventions because that is how they make a living. They just want more and more conferences. I don't want conferences, we want solutions. Enough conferences, we've talked enough, we know what the problem is, we know what the solution is. So let us start working towards the solution rather than going on arguing about it endlessly. See, for example, Europe was talking about no coal to Asia and other countries. Today when war comes, they're all going back to coal. Germany's gone back to coal now, they're burning much more coal than before. So, Like this, you can go on stating something, but the reality is something else. But soil is that aspect. Enhancing the organic content of the soil, nobody is against it. Oil companies, automobile companies, fertilizer companies, pesticide companies, any government, people, farmers, nobody is against enhancing the richness of the soil. Let's do that.
But soil scientists citing that there are some adverse effects too. The continuous farming leads to the fertility issues.
See, this is exactly what I'm saying. See, monoculture you're doing, single crop, every time paddy, every time wheat, going on growing the same crop, 2 crops, 3 crops in a year, if you do it for 20, 25 years, the land is finished. That's what they're saying. I am talking about growing 6 crops in a year and not taking it, putting it back. So all the organic content went back into the soil.
Continuous vegetation.
Vegetation must be there on the land always. Plowed land, leaving the land open to sun is murder of the soil, literally, because most of the organisms are within the 15 to 18-inch topsoil. Today with machines, when you plow, you're plowing 12 to 14 inches deep and you leave it open during summer, it is murder of the soil because organisms are dying. They need moisture, they need organic content. Organic content means that's their food. They cannot eat anything else. And there are no other source of organic content other than plant life and animal life, not just on this planet, in the entire universe. There is no organic content anywhere except plant life and animal life. Either we must have animals or plants on the land, otherwise land cannot be enriched.
So this is a holistic methodology to conserve our soil.
Yes.
Sadhguru, as we know, the slogans, hashtags, interviews, speeches will not going to improve the organic content of soil. How this initiative trickle down and reach the grassroots level?
This needs to just touch the government in a big way so that they will make incentive-based policies. It's a 3-pronged incentive policy for the farmer. Without making it an incentive-driven policy, this is not going to work. Go and preach the farmer, what is the point? His economic condition is such that if you touch it, it'll collapse. It's in that state. You don't go and preach the farmer. You offer him right now, India's organic content on an average is 0.68%. If you offer that if you get it to 3%, we will give you this much money, most farmers will go for it. That's the way forward. And then there is carbon credit scheme, then there is a market recognition. These things need to happen. Not about… everybody is saying, why don't you talk to the farmers? Because you neither understand the problem nor do you know the solution, these kind of things are coming. What is the point of talking to a poor farmer who is barely trying to make his life? It needs incentives. Without incentives, it cannot be done.
Indian government have a flagship scheme named Soil Health Card in one side. The other side, few years back, the then finance minister advocated for zero budget farming and intercropping. But still, there is no comprehensive plan regarding this. You have met many ministers. Still, government of India don't have a solid, dedicated scientific plan to conserve our soil treasure. You have some radical ideas and you are opting policy changes in this. What the feedback you're getting from the administration?
Message to the government is just this: do not prescribe any kind of farming to anybody. When you say natural farming, I understand you're trying to improve the quality of the soil. But instead of that, focus on one item. There's only one problem, there's not enough organic content in the soil. How will you put it there? You can only do it by bringing in plant life and animal life. If you just set up a substantial incentive, instead of giving so many subsidies in diverse ways, which are not result-oriented subsidies, they're just like doles, you're giving away. Instead of that, you make it result-oriented. If you make it 3% organic content, we'll give you a substantial amount of money. And then crack the carbon credit scheme. Right now, carbon credit market is only for the industry. Farmers cannot even make use of it. Last 7 years, we've been doing everything possible. We are not able to move 1 inch in that. We are not able to break it for the farmers. Now, that must happen. You must simplify the carbon credit market for the farmers. Next thing is, in the market, there must be a recognition. If my my produce comes from 3% organic content or 6% organic content, it must be recognized and it must be priced accordingly, because the volume of food that people are eating will come down significantly if the nutrients are very high in the food. Right now, nutrients are not enough, so people are tending to eat more and more because the body demands that, because it needs nutrients. Body doesn't need food, body needs nutrients, and the only way you can get nutrients is through the food. How much nutrients are there in the food, accordingly it'll eat that much. So if the nutrient value goes up, the consumption of food will come down, which will do tremendous things for human beings and for the nation and for the world.
Organic farming is, I think, as an alternate, but this type of farming is not just a way of agriculture, it must be a way of life too. What's your take on that? You supporting organic farming?
I am saying this is all being propagated by urban populations who don't know nothing about farming. You don't tell the farmer how he should do farming. Today, organic farming means no fertilizer, no pesticide, no nothing. If you do that today, your food production in the world will come down to 25% of what it is. That is death.
Yeah, we have
If the organic content in the soil increases, the usage of fertilizers will start sliding down by itself. That's the way it needs to happen. Now you say, I don't like fertilizer, stop it. You and me are alive because of fertilizer, you better know that. Because otherwise we would have famines in the country and in the world. So don't urban people stop doing prescriptions for farming. Let the farmer decide how to farm, because from this plot of land to that plot of land, there's a lot of difference. People may not understand. It's all the same black cotton soil, but it's not the same. You leave the farming to the farmer. But you want the soil to be alive, so give him an incentive. If you raise it above 3%, you will get this much incentive. Every farmer will go for it. Just do that. What type of farming he does, leave it to him, huh? And also, anyway, when you go to the market, if you buy this mango, they're saying this is organic mango. So somebody came and gave me now when I was in Kurnool, Sadhguru, this is organic mango. I said, get me an inorganic one, I want to eat an inorganic one, where is it? There's no such thing, you're just making up these words. These are urban nonsense.
In 2017, Isha Foundation launched a Rally for River campaign, and it's 2022. What's the outcome? What's happening?
That was a policy, to drive a policy. We wrote a 760-page policy how to maintain tropical rivers. That is the recommended policy for all the 28 states right now. Within 3.5 months, it became a recommended policy. And then Kaveri calling has been such a success on the ground that 13 river basin projects have been prepared in toto of this thing. Now they're investing 19,000 crores on that.
Okay, yeah, central government allowed.
Yes, that is the way forward, this is how governments work. But it's taken me over 11 years to get this to this place. All people are talking is, right now, I know who is telling you these things and this is on your mind. See, these are all perfect people. They've never made a mistake in their life because they've never done anything in their life. This is the advantage they have. So, their thing is, oh, we gave missed call, where is Kaveri coming up? Missed call is to show that people's support is there. Even Save Soil movement is to show the government's people's support is there, because a democratic government, if it has to act long-term, it needs people's mandate. Where is the people's mandate? Has anybody at any time, 60% of the population stood up and said, we are concerned about the long-term well-being of this nation, long-term well-being of our children's lives and future generations? Has anybody expressed? This is that expression, Save Soil. 3.91 billion people have been touched, and now the governments know that this is an issue. This is not something that you can put it under the carpet and keep quiet.
Okay, thank you, Sadhguru. All the best for the future follow-ups of Save Soil campaign.
Thank you.